This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Bryan Hancock, chairman and co-founder of RealStarter. Based in Austin, Texas, RealStarter is a real estate crowdfunding platform focused on Texas-based projects, but open to investors all over the U.S. Bryan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Hall.
Great. So what was your background before joining RealStarter? What did you do before this?
So I'm a recovering electrical engineer. I went to UT's engineering school and finished my MBA at TCU, but mostly been involved in real estate projects as a sponsor in and around the Austin Metroplex. So we've done a bunch of urban infill deals there. I ran a coaching program for a couple of years, owned and operated apartment complexes, and just different things like that. And that kind of led me into the crowdfunding space. We were trying to raise more money for our projects, and the laws got changed, and figured out that that was probably a pretty good thing to investigate doing. Never really hoping to run a crowdfunding company, just trying to raise money for my deals, and kind of took a little different path.
That's right. Well, so you see a lot of deals out there. What's your advice for people investing in the space?
Well, I mean, crowdfunding doesn't make anything any different than, just regular vetting of deals. Got to have a good sponsor, making sure that you're real thoughtful with checking out the sponsor, asking all the questions you need to ask, reviewing all the materials, seeing do their projections make sense? Are they defensible? Is there some sort of margin of safety built into them? So that's one definite big thing to check out. And then also trying to invest smaller amounts to start out with while you grow your relationship with the sponsor. Make sure they say they're going to do. And after that, that's the beauty of real estate deals, is there's always going to be another one. So maybe up your investment on the next one, or after the money cycles out, you can put that money back in with the same sponsor on a different deal and maybe up your investment some as well. And that's how relationships are grown. So it's really no different crowdfunding than it is just traditional 506B type investing. It's just now there's a little bit more efficient way for sponsors and investors to get together than there was before.
Well, so how do you see the industry evolving these days?
Well, a big part of the recent evolvement of the industry is the recent sort of rulings by the SEC that Title III limits are supposed to be raised to $5 million. So I would anticipate that a lot more, especially real estate sponsors, who previously couldn't do hardly anything with $1 million on projects, $5 million moves the needle quite a bit. So I would anticipate seeing a lot more non-accredited investors investing in real estate projects through that exemption, through licensed portals. And also the finder rules have been revised recently, from my understanding. So you'll probably start to see more people referring their investor friends over legally now. There has been a lot of that done just historically, sort of, with the finder agreements and things like that, that it's questionable whether or not some of those things were legal. But I guess some of the recent rulings, you'll probably see a lot more of that. And just in general, I see a lot more robust marketing ecosystems out there too, for being able to attract investors. The industry was in a far different place 5 years ago than it is today. And a lot of the marketing systems are getting quite a bit more sophisticated in the front end, trying to attract investors for sponsors. So I think you'll see more of that occur over the next 3 to 5 years as well. And hopefully it will help both sponsors and investors good projects that they're both interested in.
And so what kind of growth rate are we seeing for the sector here doing online marketing for real estate?
I honestly would be lying if I told you. It's just anecdotal evidence for me based on all the companies I see popping up around, and really don't have any stats to back it at all. Just know what I see and the forums I post on, and sort of how I see people trying to form their capital. It seems like the ecosystem's getting more built out and robust, but I can't cite any statistics to tell you the growth rates.
And how many companies are engaged in it, or what kind of companies are working in the space?
I see a lot of companies that will help you stand up a website, or they'll help you with just the marketing piece. So, there's a large handful of them for sure. What I don't see, and one of the things we're hoping to help with as RealStarter, as a startup, is somebody that's really doing all of the end to end. So all the way from front end advertising to making sure the conversions are right, all the way to our back end ecosystem and transacting an entire project flow. The marketplaces themselves have done a pretty good job with a lot of that, venture backing and things like that. But nobody's really catering much to the individual sponsors in the industry and being able to let them have their own branding and design their own marketing ecosystem, and then help them with the entire flow all the way from an investor sees it. What's the package look like? How do I make sure that the clicks are optimized? How do I get somebody all the way through the process on the back? How do I work with investors on the phone? People definitely need coaching on that. So that's something we're hoping to help our sponsor clients with.
So what are the challenges in starting a business in this sector? If, of course, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But what do you see as the issues there?
Well, I think none of the individual pieces are revolutionary, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of compliance aspects to it. We have a securities attorney partner as part of our concern. So it's really the sort of like the confluence or the intersection of securities law and technology and the marketing to go with that technology. And I just think that's a lot to ask for any one team to put together. And I think that's really why nobody's done a great job with it so far. A lot of the companies out there tend to be very focused on one of those three pillars. So they're really good at the tech, but they don't really know the sponsor industry that well. They don't really know what investors want that well. Or they're really good at marketing and they don't know the tech angle. Or there's a lot of law firms out there that are advertising and they know the compliance and the legal aspects really well, but they don't know the other two pieces. So trying to put all of that together is quite a bit. And I think that's just a large part of the reason that nothing's really taken off to the way I'd like to see it take off to date, to help some of the smaller sponsors get their capital formed better and get their operations.
So how does RealStarter fit into the landscape, and what exactly are you offering?
So we're a white label service like others. So there's the thing that's really missing in the space is a white label service plus the marketing aspects to go with it. So that's in my estimation, not a lot of what I've seen so far. If it was, I would have just consumed it as a sponsor and we'd be off on our merry way. Like I mentioned, I never really was trying to get into the crowdfunding space proper as an operator of the space. I'm really a sponsor by DNA. And we were just looking to raise money for our own deals. So had somebody solve that problem, we wouldn't be trying to solve it right now on our own. So that's really where we're hoping to fill in the space. Had some life events happen in the last 3 years, so we're a little bit behind I'd like to be, but we've since re-architected all of our software and we're setting it up to really be able to cater to individual sponsors as a white label solution, but fully integrated with the marketing services to go with it.
Sounds great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
I think that crowdfunding to me is kind of a misnomer. So I guess I'm trying to understand what we do. We could maybe reframe the conversation a little bit and label it something different. I know a lot of people have called it accredited crowdfunding, but some of the recent changes in the laws, it'll be interesting to see kind of what crowdfunding ends up meaning long term. But to me, it's really just an online platform for investors and sponsors getting together and hopefully transacting some good deals. So I think we maybe covered that already. Not sure what else, but I'm just hopeful that the answers itself really well and nobody really messes this up for the mainstream folks that are really trying to do the right thing.
Well, we recently went through the COVID pandemic. What impact do you think that's had on this space?
I think in general, it's probably no different than any other, I guess, what used to be called panic in the market. People are just have a flight to safety. So investors are probably rightfully more cautious now than they were before. A lot of people lost a lot of money in the market too for a while, but the market since has come back quite a bit. So I think overall, especially with the elections next year, people have just been rightfully a little bit more conservative with their investments, but that's not going to last forever. So I think that rolling into next year, I'm very hopeful that things will kind of be getting back to the new normal and not the new abnormal that we've had of late. So,
Great. So how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
just check out our website. It's at RealStarter.io. We're in the process of launching an alpha program right now for early sponsors. I got about 10 clients that are ready to sign up. Really looking for sponsors who want to kind of be in things for the long haul and not the quick fad diets, but the real diet and exercise diets in terms of trying to get your investor flow going. And really looking for people to come in and help us out, make sure the software is stood up the right way and is doing all the things you need it to do. So happy to chat with you.
Great. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Yeah, thanks all.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for the basis of investment decisions.